Well, right now we have more than 7,700 rockets that have been fired at Israeli territory since the outbreak of this war that we didn't start, a war that we didn't want, we didn't even expect. We were dragged into it by the Hamas terror organization, and we, Sandra, as a nation, we have taken this very important decision that we can no longer live next to an existential genocidal threat. This is the only reason why we are operating in Gaza right now. And we will bring an end to the Hamas regime in Gaza. Once we are done, they will not have any kind of governance bodies or military wing. Hamas can simply be no longer. Israelis will be safer once Hamas is gone, and Palestinians might have better new opportunities.
You know, it's been a tough vote for you to win at the United Nations. It has been that way for decades. But the news that just crossed a moment ago on behalf of the UN Secretary General, I read a lot of what he said. His last line is, the Palestinian hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing, and talked about an occupation now for 56 years. What is your reaction to that? And although there was a call for the Secretary General to resign, in all likelihood, you should not hold your breath for that based on history at the UN.
True. There is a very clear anti-Israel bias at the United Nations. This is nothing new, this crazy double standard. What the UN Secretary General said, that this Hamas attack, the massacre of October 7th, didn't come in a vacuum, that is mind-boggling. Can you imagine the UN Secretary General saying such a terrible sentence after the 9/11 attack, that the 9/11 attack didn't come in a vacuum, that the Pearl Harbor attack didn't come in a vacuum, that the Boko Haram kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls in Nigeria in 2014 didn't come in a vacuum? This is insane. This is insanity. The civilized world must stand with Israel in its war against terrorism. The message that a UN Secretary General must send out is that terrorism is a dead end.
Sabrina Singh, the Deputy White House Press Secretary, Deputy Press Secretary for the Pentagon, I should say, was joining Bill and Dana this morning. And there was a remarkable moment, I believe, Bill, you asked this question, when asked about this ground invasion, when it's happening, and reports that the United States was somehow urging a delay of it. Listen.
The IDF is one of the most capable militaries in the world. We are providing our support. We are providing our assistance. It's really up to them to decide when they move forward with any type of incursion.
So can you tell us how involved is the United States in this decision on when to go and move into Gaza?
So Israel is a sovereign nation. It will make its own decisions. Obviously, we are communicating with international partners, including with the United States, because, as you know, there are also hostages inside the Gaza Strip and people who were affected by the October 7th massacre who are dual citizenship holders and foreign nationals. But our military generals and our political leadership are the ones that will make these decisions, when to move to stage 2, stage 3 of this operation. And they are looking at different variables all the time, bringing into account
so
different considerations.
So is it fair to say that we're still in stage 1 then? Is that what you're saying?
Stage 1 is to secure Israeli territory, and just like Trey Inks reported just a moment ago, they're still trying to challenge us by infiltrating from the sea. So stage 1 is securing Israeli territory. Okay. Stage 2, that's what I call the counteroffensive to dismantle Hamas, and maybe stage 3, but this is how I define it. Is
okay. And just to clarify, was there any point where the United States stepped in and urged a delay of this? Did that happen?
I don't think a delay is a word that actually fits here, because there are different considerations that are being brought into account. So we will act when the conditions are right, when the timing is right, when the military generals make their decisions, and they're taking into account all kinds of calculations. True, we are consulting with international partners. There are also foreign nationals who are being held in Gaza.
This is an interview that was truly stunning. It aired here in the United States before the sun came up. This is the 85-year-old hostage who is now free as of yesterday, or late last night anyway, speaking through the interpretation of her daughter.
They stormed our kibbutz, they kidnapped me, laid me on my side on a motorbike, and rammed into the fields toward Gaza. They blew up the fence, dozens stormed our houses, hit the people and kidnapped people like me. There's no difference between young or old men or women. It was very, very painful.
It's quite remarkable. Listen to her husband is still held captive in Gaza. Can you confirm at this hour, at the highest level of the Israeli government, are there still negotiations to free hostages, whether it's 2 or 20, between the Hamas leadership and the government of Qatar?
Well, I cannot comment on any kind of specific reports. We are working in every possible avenue, Bill, to try to bring to the release of all hostages. Now, note that the only reason of why they set these 2 hostages and 2 other women free is because of mounting international pressure. And this pressure is just going to increase. We are calling on the international community to back us up in this demand. Set them free. Let the Red Cross pay a visit to the hostages. There's a 9-year-old boy celebrating his birthday in Gaza right now without his family. It is mind-boggling. This is the reason why they freed them. But also, let's not be mistaken here. The Hamas terrorist organization did not change overnight and turn into this human rights organization or anything like that. No sympathy here, of course. They are the ones who butchered, tortured, raped our people. They're the ones who turned people into ashes so badly that 18 days after that massacre, we are still unable to identify some of the victims.
When we look at the negotiations and the possibility of hostages being released, can you clarify what exactly happened over the weekend with Hamas going to the Israel government, saying that they would release some of these Israeli women being held hostage, but Israel reportedly refused? Was that the case? And what was Hamas demanding in return?
Can you imagine a case in which Israeli government will say no to freeing of hostages? We should not be fooled by Hamas's very cheap manipulation and such tricks. This is part of their propaganda war machine, and we shouldn't believe anything that comes out of their mouths. We should be very, very cautious whenever any kind of report is coming out of Gaza. There's no free speech, no free press there. Anything that comes out of Gaza is controlled by Hamas. They are the people with the guns.
Tal Heinrich, thank you for your time. Spokesperson for Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you.